Hi everybody, tonight we are studying for your quiz that's going to be tomorrow. You have 15 different problems here. If you get through the first 10, you're doing really well. If you feel like you're doing well, go on and do 11 through 15. Do 15 for sure. It's a word problem. And do the decimals for sure. The fractions you may have a little bit of trouble with, but the process is the same, and it'll be a good challenge for a lot of you. If you're in that growth mindset, using those fractions will really test your skills. And remember, you can use a calculator. Before we get started, I want to remind you of the review sheet that we sent you. On your quiz tomorrow, you will have to translate words into expressions, and you've got some notes on that to look back at. And you're going to work on solving two-step equations. That's what these 15 problems are. So here at number 2, if you will go through, oh, I don't like the way this turned out. These steps, my outline form didn't work. You can work your way through those. A few cautions here. Don't make a computation error. Use the calculator as you've been directed. Keep up with all your negative signs. And keep that growth mindset. It may take some time, but you can learn this. So let's get started with number 1. If you look at your study sheet, it says, look to see if you have any parentheses. We do not have any parentheses, so we're going on to the next step. The next step says to make a 0 with the constant that's on the same side of the equation with the variable. Well, that constant that we're talking about is this 8. So that we have to get rid of it. If we have a positive 8 or adding 8, to get rid of it, we would get a pencil or a pen and subtract 8 on both sides. This positive 8 and negative 8 make a 0. We're left with 3n, which is brought down, and 29 minus 8 is 21. We are now to a one-step equation that you already know how to solve, but if we're going through that study sheet, it now says to make a 1 with the coefficient of the variable. The coefficient of the variable is 3. To make a 1, we'd need to divide both sides by 3, and n now equals 7. Ladies and gentlemen, the only way to do this is to actually try them and then come back and check your work. Number 2 and number 4 work exactly like number 1. I'll show you the answers to those in just a minute. Please pause your screen and try those next. 2 follows the same steps. You're going to get rid of the constant 7. Then you are going to divide by the variable -4. You should have the work there to done, and you'll know you're right if you got -6. If you didn't get -6, you need to go back, go through those steps, rework it, ask a question when you get in class tomorrow. I also ask you to do number 4 because that's just like it. So if we stick with this and we keep practicing this, we got to get rid of that constant 4, then divide by the -6 to split apart the coefficient and the variable. If you followed those steps and you did the work ahead of time, you got 1/3 or 0 and 3/10 repeating. You need to have that work there so we can see it tomorrow. I just want you to have the answer so you know if you did it right or not. I think let's just keep going with that right now and skip on to some more that are just like it while we're practicing. Ooh, we don't have any more just like it. Okay, so let's try number 3 then together. Number 3, you'll notice, is a little bit different. Going back through our steps, there are no parentheses. We don't have to worry about that. But what we do have to do is step 2b, make a 0 with the constant. The constant we have here is 12. There's no symbol in front of the 12. If nothing's there, this is a positive 12. The inverse or the opposite of 12 is -12. And we have to add that to both sides. If you need to draw the line down from the equal to keep those both sides separated, I suggest you do that. A positive 12 and a -12 give a value of 0. b over 6 is what we bring down, and 16 minus 12 is 4. Again, we want you to use your calculator, and we want you to be really careful with the negative signs and that you're keeping up with those. That can cause some problems. When we get to step 2b, it says make a 1 of the coefficient by using the inverse. b over 6 means division. The inverse is multiply. We're going to multiply by what you're dividing by to undo it, which is the number here on the bottom, the 6. The 6's cancel out, making that 1. It's a sideways 1, but it's a 1. And then 4 times 6 is 24. Okay? So now we're on to the word problem. Coffee shop sells ceramic mugs for $8.95. Each refill costs $1.50. Last month, Rose spent $26.95 on a mug and refills. How many refills did she buy? Well, here's what we know. She bought a mug and refills, and that totaled $26.95. The mug, we know, cost $8.95, and we'd add to that her refills. I'm going to use R to stand for refills. I don't know how many refills, but I know each one's $1.50. So I'd have to take the $1.50 times my variable refill in order to get $26.95. The process you do for this is exactly like number 1, number 2, and number 4. Try it. It's just got decimals in it. Use your calculator. You're going to get rid of that constant, and then you're going to split up the coefficient and the variable. I'll have the answer for you in a second. Try it first. Okay, just to make sure, this should be worked before you look. If you are just copying what you see on the screen, you're learning how to copy. You're not learning how to do the equations. Use the study sheet that you have on your iPad. Oh my goodness, you don't have a paper copy of that. That could be hard to look back and forth, but you should just be checking your work with this. It should be done anyway. Dang it, didn't even think about that. All right, so here's the answer. R is 36. You've got 36 refills. We are on to 6, 7, 8, and 9. You'll notice that these look different. They do have the parentheses. So when we start on this review sheet, yes, we do have parentheses. We've got 2 methods here that we could go. We can use the distributive property where the outsider comes between those 2 friends, or we could divide both sides by the constant in front of the parentheses, and that maintains the friendship. So I'm going to do number 6 both ways, and then simply let you check 7, 8, or 9. You can pick whichever way you'd like to do it. Starting with method 1, you would use the distributive property, taking the number outside the parentheses times everything inside. This is where that outsider comes between the 2 friends. We have 9s plus, what is that? 108. 108 equals 45. And then we're right back to what we've done on 1, 2, and 4. Looks the same. Getting rid of the constant by using the opposite operation. Making that 0. We've got 9s now equals negative 63. Remember to use your calculator. I'm going to rewrite that up here because I'm running out of room. Now to split up the variable and the coefficient, we would divide both sides by 9, and s equals negative 7. Okay, that's one way. I'm going to erase that and try it the other way. The other way is to not split up the friends, but to get rid of the outsider by using division. 9 divided by 9 gives us the 1. Now I've got s plus 12 equals 5. Oops, not plus, equals 5. Subtract 12 on both sides, and s equals negative 7. Either way, you get the same thing. You get to pick which way you like to do it and do it that way. All right, try the next 3. I'll have the answers for you. You'll have to show the work. So seriously now, don't go on until you've actually tried to do this, going through whichever method you prefer, either distributive property or using division. Whichever way you did it correctly if you got C equals 8. For number 8, x equals 56. And for number 9, x equals 14. Friends, you've got to be able to do this on your own without that review sheet tomorrow. You've got to be able to show your own work. So now's the time to start doing it. I will help you with the word problem here. A family of 5 people has $200 to spend. That should be on. Somebody I know is not a very good typist. There is your secret for today right here. I made a typing mistake. Miss Trousdale is not a good typist. Secret, secret, secret. This is the secret. Please don't tell me you don't know the secret. If you're watching and you're listening, then you know the secret. All right, so they spend a total of $20 on licenses. Assuming they buy 5 identical rods, what is the maximum amount they can spend on each rod? So here's what we've got. We've got $200 that they spent on, so it equals the rods and the licenses. Licenses is a funny word. Licenses. So 200 equals, the rods are identical and we know we have 5. I'm going to use R to stand for the rods. That did not look like R stands for the rods. So I've got 5 rods, would be 5 times R with the cost of the licenses. That's $20. Now you need to solve for how much the rods are. Using those same steps, this is exactly like 1, 2, or 4. So here's where we left off. If you have worked it now, you're ready to go on and check the answer. And the answer would be 36 or 36 rods. R equals 36. All right, we get to here, and this is the challenge for you guys. If you're really in that growth mindset and you want to strain your brain, you follow the same steps even with fractions and decimals. Here's where that calculator may come in handy if you know how to do fractions on it, or the fraction skills that you developed in elementary school and we've reviewed briefly. I am not going to work these for you. I'm going to let that be a challenge. What I'll do is show you the answers. The steps are the same, and you can see if you met the challenge. Grow your mind. The process for the fractions and the decimals is exactly the same. You get rid of the constant. Then you make a 1 out of the coefficient that's with the variable. If you did that correctly on 11 and 12, you got 4/5 for x, and f is -2 or -2/1. And you are really proud of yourself right now, and you know what it feels like to grow your brain, and I'm really proud of you, and that's awesome. We also did the same thing with decimals. The process is exactly the same. We've got one here where you might need to use the distributive property, and if you do, follow those steps exactly. Now you've got y equals -17 and 73/100, and h equals 4 3/10. We've done 2 word problems already together. I'd like for you to try and do this one on your own, and then we'll come back and check it together. So see what Deshaun's done here with his note cards. First, let's work on just writing the equation. Deshaun has some paper. We don't know how much. That's what I assigned my variable to. I use P for paper. He finds 7 more pieces. So I've got some paper and 7 more pieces. He's going to cut each piece in half. All right, so this may be a little bit icky right here because I had to back up and start my video over. So if it's a little rough and bumpy, I apologize. We've got some paper and 7 more cut in half to equal 32. If I cut it in half, I'm getting twice the pieces that I had to start with. So 2 times the paper plus 7 more, because when I cut it in half, I'm going to get twice as many, ought to equal 32. Now you should be able to solve this without any problem. Please do that and come back and check it. When number 15 is solved, you will know that Deshaun started out with 9 pieces of paper. Solving these 2-step equations is the big part of your test tomorrow, but also you have to translate those words into expressions. So make sure you find your notes for the algebra review, study that chart. Remember that less than is the tricky one that you have to pay attention for order. And then to practice that, because I didn't want to take any more time of your on the video, go to www.ixl.com, choose 7th grade math skills, go to variable expressions, it's a green heading, and choose U1. That'll help you, give you practice translating expressions. Wishing you all the best, study up, and we look forward to some great test scores tomorrow.